topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome to Tax Talk for You. Hopefully you're here because you found us starting out the new year, new resolutions, new solutions to your tax problems, new guidance for your business, new guidance as an owner, operator, truck driver, business owner. You know, this is all new. New year, new season, new resolutions. You know, I know we all make, our New Year's resolutions and, raise your hand. How many of you decided we're going to make a New Year's resolution? Maybe it was to lose weight, stop smoking, be a better person, be better at business, pay less in taxes. Who knows? Maybe it's get a better bookkeeping company for my trucking company. Well, you're in the right place. Okay, we're not going to sit here and help you not smoke. We're not going to sit here and help you to lose weight because we're not a weight loss program. We're not a non-smoking program, stop smoking program. We are all about taxes, bookkeeping, finding ways to solve your tax problems, to put them to bed, once and for all. Part of my New Year's resolution is trying not to listen to some of these stupid ads, we hear on the radio stations about, solving IRS problems when they're not being realistic, when they're not being really helpful in what you need to do to solve your tax problem. But if your New Year's resolution is to be better at paying less in taxes, better at running your business better, Tax Talk for You is where you need to be, and you also need to invite your friends. So your New Year's resolution for me can be to invite more people to come listen to Tax Talk for You. If we can get more information out, we can help more people all across the country. And that's really what our goal is to help people. And speaking of helping people, we've got a couple specials running with Trucker Tax Tools. Go to truckertaxtools.com, or you can call us at 877-966-2477. Again, 877-966-2477. The specials we've got going on right now are really low cost. It starts from $25 a week for great bookkeeping for your trucking company as an owner operator. Get in on that special today. Matter of fact, right now, we've reduced the setup fees as well by 50%. We can give you some other discounts if you're a member of OOIDA, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association. So it's a beautiful time to move your bookkeeping to us. We have fantastic reports that we do for truckers that really help you as a business owner to run your business better. So your New Year's resolution is get on the phone right now. Hey, if you get this done, man, you've solved your New Year's resolution for the whole year. And how many people fail at everything else that they do as far as New Year's resolution? How many weight loss people go out there and maybe they're working hard at it for the first 2 months, and then the only thing they're losing is their gym membership for the next 9 months after that, because they can't cancel it. They can't get out from underneath it, and they've got to keep paying on it. But yet, hey, they stopped going to the gym after a month or two. Well, Hey, here at Trucker Tax Tools, you will put your solution in place, and all you got to do is send us your information. We take care of the rest. We send you reports. You now have great financial reports for your business as a trucking company. And everybody needs that. Everybody needs great bookkeeping and great taxes done. And that's what we do here at Trucker Tax Tools. So call us 877-966-2477. Don't waste time now waiting till later in the year to do it. Let's get started here as we go today. Talking about New Year's resolutions, you owe money to the IRS. So your resolution is to solve this tax problem once and for all. See, the IRS is the largest, biggest, baddest, nastiest collection company there is in the world. I guess the Gestapo might have been worse, but here in the United States, they're the biggest and baddest collection agency there is. They need their money. They need your money. And when you owe the IRS, you're putting yourself subject to their collection activities. Now, yes, they're guided by law, and they've got to do things, and they've got to follow things the right way to put collections on you. But 90% of that you've ignored, haven't you? Those IRS letters you don't want to open. Nobody does. Those IRS letters maybe you have opened and you've ignored. The letters get worse and worse as you go. So, it simply starts out as, hey, you owe us this money, please pay it. And then it becomes, you owe us this money, pay it by this date. You owe us this money, pay it by this date, or we're going to put a lien on you. Pay the money, or we now put a lien on you. Pay this money, or we're going to have a final notice of intent to levy. Then you're going to get the certified final notice of intent to levy, and then you will be levied 30 to 45 days after that final notice of intent to levy. You ignore that one, they've levied your account. Maybe there wasn't much in it, so you feel really good. Hey, they only got a couple $100. And guess what? The bank got a couple $100. But you still owe the bank because the bank had to send everything to the IRS. So you're $200 or more in the hole to the bank for enforcing the levy from the IRS. So you clear that up and you ignore them. What's next? Wage garnishments. And now you got to explain it to your employer why you owe the IRS what the IRS is saying you owe. And now they don't leave you a lot of money to live on. See, they consider what they think is your basic necessities, and they give you that little bit of money, and they take the rest. Solutions. There are solutions. Well, the first solution was not ignoring the letters to begin with. But you've ignored them. You've gotten yourself in this position. You got to find a solution. You got to put that resolution in place to get the solution that you need, you deserve to stop the IRS collection activities going forward. See, maybe you're thinking, I don't make enough money. Why are they going to come after me? They're not going to come after me. It's not that much money anyway. Maybe you're on Social Security. I've seen them levy Social Security. Take 10% Social Security. Social Security is low enough as it is. Giving away another 10% to the IRS to pay tax debt doesn't make it any easier. It makes your living a little bit harder. So, what do you want to do? Which way do you want to go? Do you want to live with the IRS taking money from you whenever they see fit? Do you think the IRS is going to have leniency just because you're on Social Security and maybe you don't have any other income coming in? You have to prove it to the IRS. So maybe you're on just Social Security and you're barely making ends meet. We would have to go in and prove to the IRS that you cannot afford to make the payments. So maybe that's a non-collectible status. So it gets the IRS off your back, stops the levy on your account, stops the Social Security garnishment, and you're able to get back to living a little bit more of your life. But see, it doesn't happen on its own. You've got to make the decision that you're going to pursue some kind of settlement, some kind of stoppage to collections to prevent the IRS taking what you have, whether it's Social Security, whether it's your wage garnishment, whether it's a levy on your account. Those things right there is something you need to do to make your life better. And it's something you need to do to get the IRS to stop their collection activities so you can continue to get back to living your life. Hey, in the next segment, we're going to talk about the different solution options that you have to put your resolution in place to get a solution to your IRS tax problem right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, it's a great start to the new year, new solutions, new resolutions. Hey, we got a quick question from Zach down in League City, south of Houston, Texas. And his question was, I owe the IRS $60,000. I've heard on the radio I can settle this debt for 100 or maybe 1,000. And I told you I wasn't going to listen to any of these commercials anymore with these resolution companies out there just telling you things that don't make sense or things that may not be true. They just get you excited to make the phone call, which, hey, at least you're making the phone call. At least you're thinking about your tax debt. Now, owing $60,000 gives you many different types of solutions. And this is a great lead into this segment. So first off, before you sign with anybody else, call Taxation Solutions. Free phone call, free consultation, 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. Zach, let's talk about the $60,000 you owe. Is it current year? Is it, 2024's taxes? Is it, 23's, or is it multiple years going back, 6, 7, 8 to 10 years? Depending on your situation and what the tax debt will depend on which of these kind of solutions we would put in place, but also depends on your assets and equity in those assets. So your house, what kind of equity do you have in your house? Retirement plans, savings accounts, any other investments you may have. All these will come into play to determine what is the best solution to your tax problem. Now, we're going to kind of go through these pretty quick in this segment because we're trying to cover a lot of things in new resolutions, but we will come back and go in depth to a lot of the solutions that the IRS offers and that you could obtain over the next few shows. So make sure you're subscribing to taxtalk4u.com. Again, that's tax talk, number 4, the letter u.com. So you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Facebook. And if you do miss an episode, we're on iHeart, Spotify, and all the other podcast hosting sites. So make sure you get in, find our programs. We have some very good podcasts on Tax Solutions 101, Tax Solutions 102, giving you ideas on how to solve your tax problem and get a better solution for what's going on. So, Zach, in your case, own $60,000. Again, we don't know where the debt from. So let's just say the debt's 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. So it's back tax debt. Well, first off, we would want to look at the exact years and the exact amounts, because if you're coming close to 10 years since you filed those taxes, so right now maybe 2014 could be out there. You could even have 2013's taxes, depending on when you filed the tax return, and then any bumps to the statute of limitations. But the statute of limitations runs out after 10 years of when the taxes were filed and accepted. So if you filed 2014's tax return, let's say you filed it in January of 2016, because you filed late, you might be running up on CSEDs. So maybe putting a delay in place will get part of that debt to come off, falling off. Maybe 2015's tax debt that you filed in April of 2016, you filed timely and everything, but you just couldn't afford to pay it. And this has been lingering debt and growing from penalties and interest. Well, again, this may be something we might be able to put some holds and delays in place to get you to that statute of limitations so that the debt falls off in April. So there's going to be things that we need to look at and do to find out how we can help you. I mean, it may be that we can put you in non-collectible status, that you may have some assets to pay, but you just can't afford because your income and your expenses are not such that it allows you the ability to pay on this tax debt. And so that would get you past the statute of limitations. So little things we want to look at to try to get you past the statute of limitations if the debt is that old. Now, the debt's more current. Non-collectible status can come into play as well. However, maybe somewhere down the road, you're looking at increases in pay, making more money. You may have other inheritances coming up that you project or see out there. So maybe we don't want you in non-collectible status. Maybe we want to put you into an offering compromise. That is where they settle the debt for less than what you owe. Now, this is what you hear on the radio. We're going to do this. They don't ever talk about the reasons not to do it. They don't ever talk about how you qualify for it. Offering compromise looks at all your income, all your assets. It also limits your expenses to national standards. So they have national standards for housing, utilities, food, medical, vehicles. So you've got to comply with what the national standards are. So as long as you can meet all that, maybe you can get into an offering compromise and settle this for less than what you owe. This is something we'll talk about in your free consultation, because we'll be able to talk a little bit about what is all your assets, what the IRS is going to be looking at, what your income is, and all that. But you got to call 888-930-1016 to get that free consultation. And then we can talk about what's going on and how to put the right solution in place. And we may determine up front that it needs to be a different solution. And then we can come back and go, hey, no, we can get you to offer a compromise because you can do this, this, and this, and make your life better and get the right solution that you would qualify based on some changes you have in your lifestyle. Now, one of the other options that you have out there, of course, if you can afford to pay it and the IRS determines you can pay it, it's going to be an installment agreement. Now, that would be why we would want to put a lot of delays in place to get to statute of limitations so that debt falls off. But it's stuff we've got to do to get to that point so that the solution that you have would work for you and what you're at. But if you have the money to be able to pay them, then the IRS is going to expect you to get on an installment agreement and pay them as much as money as possible so that, they're not getting rid of that debt. It's something that you can afford to pay or pay down or pay off. But what we've got to do is get to the point where the debt does go away, get to that statute of limitations so that we can set it up. Now, maybe you can afford to pay something, but not everything every month. Maybe the IRS is asking for $1,000 or $2,000 a month, but you can only afford to pay, $100 or $500 a month. And we determine that, hey, this number is correct based on the standards that they have, based on the information. And we can go to the IRS and say, hey, Zach qualifies for a partial pay installment agreement, meaning that you're going to pay maybe $500 a month, let's say, for the next 60 months, because that's how long they have to collect on a certain part of your debt, or it could be as long as 72 months out there. And if it's current debt, so we put it on the for the longest term possible, but we prove to them that you can only afford to pay, let's say, $500 a month, and they wanted maybe $1,500 or $2,000 or something like that. So for the next 60 months or so, you'll pay that $500 a month. Well, that $30,000 you're paying sure beats the $60,000. So that means $30,000 of debt went away, but you also didn't have to go out and get a new mortgage or do other things. So the partial pay installment agreement could be the place to go. So you do have other alternatives and other options that make things work for you in what you have. Now, if your New Year's resolution, because we're talking about resolutions and we're talking about the new year, and Happy New Year to everybody. If your New Year's resolution was tax relief, get this tax situation under control, give us a call, 888-930-1016, 888-930-1016. We have some special offers for you to help get you started, some special deals on tax analysis, just for tuning in and listening to Tax Talk for you. And again, subscribe, follow us at taxtalk4u.com. That's taxtalk, number 4, letter U.com. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the importance of bookkeeping and taxes, not just for truckers and owner operators like we do at truckertaxtools.com, but for small businesses all around the country. And we'll do that right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, I want to tell a shout out to Maurice, who was listening to the show and actually called us to get his trucking company signed up for bookkeeping. My staff just messaged me, and I just want to say, hey, welcome aboard, Maurice. You made the right decision to come here to truckertaxtools.com and become a part of our family. Bookkeeping that we do here for truckers, all across the country. I just got to say, truckertaxtools.com has been built exclusively for truckers. At Trucker Tax Tools, we handle all your bookkeeping and your taxes. We established this company because we understood a long time ago how important the transportation industry is to our country's economy, and to help truckers, stay on the road, not be interfered with by the IRS and delinquent taxes. TaxationSolutions.net, Tax Relief, established a whole department and became its own company just to service the trucking industry, because we did a lot of tax relief for truckers around the country. Partly thanks to our association with OOIDA, that's Owner Operators Independent Drivers Association, which if you're an independent driver, OOIDA is a great place to have a membership, and it's relatively inexpensive to become a member over there. And I also speak at their Truck to Success seminar that they put on every year. They may be putting this on at Mid-American Trucking Show coming up in March. We're still waiting to hear what their plans are and if they're actually going to do this or not, coming up at the Mid-American Trucking Show. Bookkeeping and taxes, as a small business person, whether you're in the trucking industry or whether you are a small business person, and I have to say, small businesses are the backbone of the United States. That's why we're here. That's why we help many small businesses all across the country with their payroll tax problems, with their other tax problems, and the owners with their tax debt that they have as well. But having good bookkeeping and having somebody that's knowledgeable about not just, bookkeeping, but your industry as well, helps your business run smoothly. As an owner operator, as a small business person, you need to know how your business is doing. Am I making money? It's just not flying by the seat of pants. How much money do I have in my bank account, or how much money do I have in my pocket? But by actually assessing your actual business performance. Trucking. We know trucking bookkeeping at Trucker Tax Tools, and we know trucker taxes. So, we tell you to find somebody that specializes in your business. A really funny part is Taxation Solutions has also gotten into doing bookkeeping for daycares around the country. Now, not in Minnesota for the Smias. We don't deal with those there, but we do have various daycares around the country and actually have kids in their daycares. So they do take care of the kids and everything else out there. I'm amazed at how much fraud there is in the government. I'm amazed at how much fraud there is in certain areas of the country and in different industries. That one just kind of amazes me more than any other one, that they were able to get away with this and be able to do this for as many years as they have. Not to mention, you heard reports of them taking millions of dollars through the airports. My gosh, I thought that had to be paperwork, had to be filled out and somebody was looking at it. I guess nobody looks at it, just fill it out, sign it, and you go. hey, who am I to say I don't work for the government? I don't run the government. Nobody ever appointed me king. So therefore, we're just here doing our job to help you do your job and run your business more smoothly. Our experience helps you maximize your profit, minimize your taxes, and providing straightforward advice. So what's the importance of bookkeeping? We scratched the surface and said, hey, it's to help you run your business better. It's do this, do that. Well, what it really is the foundation to be able to look at how your business is actually performing. Good, bad, or indifferent. So as every small business does out there, you've got your income. And you kind of know a little bit about your expenses and everything else. But until you actually do the bookkeeping behind it, you don't know where you're at and how you're doing. All you are seeing is the bank account. It goes up, goes down. But why? Where's the money going? You're spending too much money on advertising, not enough money on advertising. Is your cost of goods sold higher than the prices that you're selling your goods for? Is the cost of providing service, like a trucking company, the cost of fuel, the cost of tolls, scales, all these costs that you have being on the road as a trucker, and then you look at what you're charging out there, and all of a sudden, it doesn't make sense. If you're a trucker, you should know your cost per mile. We have some great worksheets that we work with. We redesigned our complete financial statements so that they're more readable for those in the trucking industry to more completely understand what they're looking at in the trucking industry. So what's their bottom line? They're able to go in and look at their fixed costs and what their fixed cost is per mile, and then what's their variable cost per mile. What can you control? And so looking at those two things, you can know how to run your business a little bit more. So if somebody is saying, hey, I'm going to pay you X number of dollars per mile to take this load, and we're just going to use some round numbers. Your cost to run per mile is, let's say, 75 cents a mile is your cost, fixed. And they're only willing to pay you 80 cents. Well, you're only making 5 cents. How's that going to cover fuel? It's not. So why take the load? You don't. You're losing money taking that load. You're losing money sitting still, but you're losing money taking that load. Now maybe with your variable costs and everything, you're up to, let's say, 97 cents, and they're willing to pay you $1.05. Well, now you're making a little bit of money, but again, you got to determine what's it worth. How many miles are you going? Are you going to deadhead back? Or do you have a load coming back? So you take a load and then your load coming back. So you've got to look at both so that you know that, hey, I'm going to be making money in this business. Now, it's the same with every other business owner out there. Got to have good bookkeeping to be able to do financial analysis of how am I making money? How am I succeeding? Do I have the right amount of staff? Maybe you've overstaffed and you're losing money. Maybe you're making a ton of money, but you're not able to keep up with the production. So you need more staffing, or maybe you need better equipment. These are all things that you've got to sit down and look at and say, hey, does this make sense for me in my business? Run the numbers. Now, am I getting every deduction that I'm entitled to? That's something else you've got to look at in your bookkeeping. So when I'm looking at my bookkeeping, we want to make sure that, you have the information that you need to run your business. And then you're finding every deduction that you possibly can. Now, that goes to say is that when I talk at Trust Success seminars and I'm talking about bookkeeping and taxes, we're trying to find every single expense you can run through your business that is business related. Now, some of those expenses you may have anyway, whether you're running a business or you're not running a business, but isn't it better to pay with stuff that is before tax than pay money after tax? So we always use a good example, cell phone. So you use it for both business and personal. But if you're not deducting the business side of that cell phone, then you're paying with it after tax instead of pre-tax. Now, how much does it really cost you? Let's say your business side of your phone bill is $100 a month. It's only $1,200 a year, right? Right. But if you're self-employed and you're going to pay 15% of that right off the top, that's $180 that you would pay in tax on that money. Now, $180 isn't really that big of a deal. Well, it is if you find a lot of those and they add up. So would you rather cap that $180? Now, that's just the $180 was just the Social Security and Medicare tax on it, 15.3% roughly. But you also save money on income tax. And if you happen to be in a 20% tax bracket, where you're talking about possibly another $200 on top of that. So now we're talking in the neighborhood of $380. That's a lot of money to keep in your pocket. You can buy a lot of things for that kind of money. So it's money you're not giving to the government because you're spending this money anyway, but you related it to business because it is business expense. Maybe you're doing small things and you happen to run them through your personal account, but you didn't think about them as business. Fire extinguishers, ice scrapers, little things like that should be business expenses. Things that you're going to put or use into the truck could be business expenses. So you want to make sure you've got that over there so that you are doing things right and getting the most bang for the dollar. And you're deducting everything you could possibly deduct for your business. So get started on good bookkeeping. Start it today. I mean, this is like the first full week of the year. And it's a great time to start your bookkeeping now so that you can save as much money as possible. Give Trucker Tax Tools a call at 877-966-2477. Hey, that being said, we're going to talk more about taxes and bookkeeping for your small business and owner-operators right after this quick break.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to truckertaxtools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. Truckertaxtools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. Happy New Year. New resolutions. And the resolution now is to get good bookkeeping, great tax service to help your trucking company as an owner operator, or even as your small business operator that's out there. Because, hey, everybody needs good help in reducing the taxes that they're going to owe. Now, we do this a lot with, bookkeeping. And just to let you know that bookkeeping fees that we charge and the tax fees we charge are deductible for your business. Again, another tax savings for you. It actually lowers the cost of actually having a bookkeeping service because you know it's deductible, and you're saving money on taxes because you have a bookkeeping and tax service, as well as us finding every deduction you could possibly have for your business out there. So Get started today. Call us at 877-966-2477. Again, 877-966-2477. Our rates start at $25 a week. Inexpensive. It's designed with your budget in mind. Now, when we talk about taxes, we kind of look at different things and different solutions for your taxes and lowering those taxes. If you're Schedule C and your net income is around 40 to 60,000 or so, you're probably just as good as a Schedule C. Okay, from a tax standpoint. Yes, you're going to get hit with Social Security and Medicare, 15.3%. And yes, you're going to get hit with federal income tax, depending on whatever rate you're in. But you're pretty much, no matter whether you're a LLC, if you're a single member, you're still on Schedule C, or whether you're an Inc. And you're recognized as an S Corp, or you're an LLC recognized as an S Corp. You've got to have reasonable wages. So therefore, you're going to be right in that neighborhood. And the fees that go along with somebody doing a corporate tax return. And then if you're an S Corp doing payroll, because you as an owner, as an S Corp owner, are subject to having reasonable wages, which must be done through payroll. So it doesn't necessarily make it worth the BS you've got to go through to do everything right as a business owner. You want to keep it somewhat simplified. But, if you start making above that 60,000 threshold, maybe you're netting 100 or 200 or 300 or 400 or $1 million. S Corp or multi-member LLC, if you've got partners, may be the ideal way to go. And maybe an 1120 might be too. There's different options and different reasons for both. But it's tax strategies like that you've got to consider to look at. Now, we talk about it, and I've seen people jump off the deep end and jump into an S Corp when they shouldn't be, or jump in and became an 1120 when they should have never been an 1120, which is a C Corp. What I tell you is, when you establish your company, read the IRS letters with your employer identification number. So we've had to bail a few companies out because they didn't read their letters. We had to go back and file their S Corp returns or their partnership returns they were required to file from the beginning, but they didn't read the letter and didn't give it to their accountant, or their accountant ignored it and said, I got a better way of doing it. They were wrong. So unless you elect the right status, you've got to file the right returns based on what that employer identification number letter said. So your EIN letter will tell you everything you need to know. Also, if you read that letter, don't skip on payroll if you're required to do payroll. SS4 seems like a really simple form when you're going and filing for your employer identification number, but every box on that form means something. And when you fill out that form and submit it, then the IRS comes back and gives you how you're supposed to file. Now, two things. 1120S is a separate election from the SS4. SS4, you can put on there that you want to be an 1120S, which is an S Corp. However, you have to make a separate election after you get your employer identification number to have your company recognized as an S Corp. If you are an Inc., so James Widgets Inc., you would be recognized as an 1120 right from the beginning. That means you've got to file a tax form 1120 and pay the corporate income tax at that corporate income tax rate. Distributions to you are considered dividends, which are taxable, again, on your personal tax return. So your company paid tax, then the profits that's left, you did a dividend to yourself and it gets taxed. Now you also have to do payroll. So if you're working in the business, you should be on payroll. And so now you've got to run payroll as well from your 1120. Now, if you had somebody working with you and you actually made the election to be an S Corp, that is another return that has to be filed whether you have income coming or not. You can't be dormant for a year or 2 years. You have to file every single year's tax return, whether you have income or not. So then if you're working in the business, you have to have a reasonable salary. And then you file your 1120S. Now, if you were making enough money, that just saved you Social Security and Medicare of any difference between your wages and your net income. So the net income is distributed to you via a K-1, whether you took the money or not, and goes to your personal tax return and your tax over there for the federal income tax on it. No Social Security, no Medicare on it. So you don't have to worry about that side of it. You still pay the federal income tax, but only on the personal side. So then you get rid of double taxation that you had with an 1120. 1120S is a pass-through company, which means the net income's passed through to you and you're taxed over there. Still makes that bookkeeping for you important to make sure that you are getting every deduction that you need for your business. And not only that, but getting yourself the support you need for your business to be able to identify those potential deductions, reduce the taxes at every corner you possibly can, and give you the financial statements to run your business. Now, we're also talking about saving money on taxes, which means using tax strategies to get there. So there's different ways to go about it. So the other one we talked about was an LLC. So there's two different types of LLCs. It's a single member LLC. That is a sole proprietorship. It's taxed on your Schedule C on your 1040 and subject 100% to Social Security and Medicare tax on your bottom line. There is the second type, which you get it recognized as an S Corp, which we just finished talking about. And then there's actually a third one where you actually have partners. So you don't have a single member LLC, you have a multi-member. So whether it's 1 member, 2 members, 3 members, 4, whatever it is, the number you got is the number of partners you have. Each one's going to get a K-1 with their percentage of ownership from the net income from the business, including husband and wife. So maybe you set this business up, or maybe you should set it up to where you both own part of the business. Now you have a multi-member LLC. Now, the nice part about a multi-member LLC, if you don't have any employees, you don't have to have payroll. So no employees, no payroll. Now, you as a business owner that's working in the business still has to have technically a reasonable salary. Now, how do they do that in a partnership if I don't have to do payroll? We do it through what is called guaranteed payments to partners. Now, they offer guaranteed payments for capital. They offer guaranteed payments for working in the business. So if you put a lot of capital into the business, you may be able to take guaranteed payments for the excess capital that you've put in the business above somebody else's, based on your ownership percentages. The other side is what is a reasonable wage for what you do in the business, and that goes as a guaranteed payments for services. Now, that is the only amount subject to Social Security and Medicare. So the whole bottom line isn't subject to it, only what is considered to be a guaranteed payment to you, the partner working in the business. So if it's a husband and wife, we can set up guaranteed payments for the husband or the wife that's the driver of a trucking company or that's driving the business. Maybe the other one doesn't do anything, is really a silent partner. but they're there so that you can file a partnership return. Save the hassle of doing an 1120S, making that election, and then doing payroll services and paying payroll taxes. This is, you continue to make your estimated tax payments every quarter, but you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that we've got going on. So that is what we need to do. Now, the real nice thing is every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we're right here at Tax Talk for You. You don't have to ever miss an episode at Tax Talk for You. You can follow us over on Facebook, making sure that you have the information that you need to watch the show every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Hey, we ran really late here, so we are out of time. Again, connect with us every Monday, 10 a.m. on W4CY Radio. Never miss an episode by going to Tax Talk, the number 4u.com, and following us over there. And we'll see you next week. Have a God bless and glorious week.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk for You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at taxtalkforyou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.